discussion, click subscribe first so you can get the next video right away.
1. Introduction. Understanding inheritance law is very important because it involves the distribution of a person's estate to their family. Without proper knowledge, inheritance distribution often leads to conflicts, misunderstandings, and even prolonged family disputes. In Indonesia, the inheritance law system is pluralistic. This means there is more than one rule that can be used, namely civil law, customary law, Islamic law, faraid. Each system has different methods, approaches, and principles of distribution. In this discussion, the main focus is inheritance according to the Marriage Law No. 1 of 1974 and the compilation of Islamic law, IJC. Both serve as important references, especially regarding the status of husband and wife, the arrangement of joint property, the share of heirs, and inheritance provisions for Muslim families. This introduction serves as a foundation for understanding how inheritance law applies and what issues frequently arise in its practice. 2. The legal basis of inheritance according to the marriage law. The Marriage Law, No. 1 of the year 1974 does not regulate inheritance distribution in detail but establishes important principles that directly affect the calculation of inheritance, especially regarding the status of marital property and the position of children. These principles greatly determine how much property truly becomes inheritance. 2.1. The principle of joint property and inherited property. Joint property. All assets acquired by the husband or wife during the marriage are considered joint property. When one spouse dies, half of the joint property becomes the right of the surviving spouse before being calculated as inheritance. This means the inheritance is not the entire property, but only the portion of the deceased after being separated from the joint property. Brought-in property. Property owned before marriage, or acquired as a gift or inheritance during marriage. This property remains personal and can be fully inherited by heirs. This principle is important to prevent families from mistakenly dividing all assets without separating the living partner's property. 2.2. The impact of death and divorce on assets. If one partner dies, the joint assets are divided in half. 50% for the surviving spouse, 50% becomes inheritance. In the event of a divorce, joint property is divided equally, unless there is a prenuptial agreement. After divorce, each person's property becomes personal property. This provision determines how much property is truly included in the inheritance calculation. 2.3. The position of children in inheritance rights. Legit